Hello, this video is going to be calling the Executive Director and the CEO of the Edgar Cayce ARE at Atlantic University, Kevin Tedeschi, out for the promotion, the enabling, the emboldening, and the funnel feeding to clear fraud in the new age while utilizing Edgar Cayce's name to do so. I'd like to make it very clear. For anyone to head a foundation and to promote fraud that can kill is unethical. For anyone to promote a foundation of a man who at no time in his life ever said that it was okay for psychics to promote fraud that can kill, or for psychics to commit simony, that Tedeschi is promoting a medium who is twined with what Edgar Cayce would never approve of, is mortifying. I called Mr. Tedeschi a couple years ago. I found out that the Edgar Cayce Foundation had twined itself into promoting the fraud of John Holland. I'd like to make it very clear that it's very clear that Mr. Holland is a fraud when he promoted an individual who not only gave out and left out wrong suicide information and anti-vaccine information, but who was selling false spiritual gift certifications. Mr. Holland participates as an active member of the Hayhor organization. He does not call out one single wrong thing that happens there, and he is more than happy to personally profit by any wrong thing they seemingly want him to promote. On September 22nd, 2012, John Holland had the wake-up call of all wake-up calls when he was on stage in Seattle with Doreen Virtue, and he could watch and see her tell a black mother of an actively suicidal child wrong suicide information. His moral imperative at that exact moment was to stop the event and say, "No, Doreen, we don't do this," and to say, "I will not participate in the risking of human life." But he made the decision that promoting fraud was okay. He let a black mother of an actively suicidal child and 700 other people be told that people who talk about suicide don't do it, and that Doreen Virtue's latest book, left unread, placed on the nightstand, could heal suicidal ideation or the energy of the home. This is horrific. John Holland was also fully aware that Doreen Virtue was selling seemingly to anyone with a working credit card who wanted to sign up and take her classes certifications as mediums, psychics, healers, it seems. She's got a whole array at one point of certifications she was giving out to people. And John Holland had no problem with funnel feeding to that simony, which is the false sale of a spiritual gift which can't be sold. I have called John Holland out repeatedly to do the right thing. I no longer believe that mediumship is of God or that mediumship is real, because medium John Holland, since September 22nd, has continued to actively promote clear fraud. He continued to promote Doreen Virtue after I was writing his office with clear evidence that the things she was saying not only didn't align to the Bible, to science, to reason, but it didn't even align to itself. He could see those emails. They were going to his office along with Hay House Reed Tracy's office. At one point, Doreen Virtue had an attorney threaten to sue me, and I took all of 5 minutes to pray and respond back, and I told her, "You bring it." John Holland continued to promote to the public a woman that he knew full well would tell people wrong medical information tied to suicide and vaccines, and who would then turn around and threaten to sue anyone who was bold enough to call her fraud what it is out. And knowing that she was threatening to sue consumers who called for the protection of human life, he continued to promote her to the public. He never took off her promotion of her books from his website. I had psychics in my life who said, Desiree, this isn't who he usually is. Give him another chance. Go and talk to him. So I flew all the way to Arizona at incredible cost to talk to him. I just didn't tell him I was coming. And he didn't know I was there. Even though I had been consistently writing Hay House asking for wrong suicide information to be corrected. You'd think the dead people would have noticed that the person who had been calling him to integrity was in the room. You'd think his dead mother would have really noticed that. And I'm pretty sure my dead father noticed I was there. But John Holland, at an event where I was sitting right literally in front of him, promoted to a crowd in Arizona that they should buy Doreen Virtue books. He didn't tell them that she tells people crazy stuff. He didn't tell them to reject that they're incarnated fairies, mermaids, leprechauns, unicorns, galactic knights, fairies from other planets, whatever crap she makes up at any given moment. He didn't tell her reject that, but I like the book. He didn't tell her, well, she gives out anti-vaccine statements, and I don't support that, but buy her book. He didn't tell her that if you go to see this woman and she tells people wrong stuff and you stand to ask for life to be protected, she might sue you. He just plugged her product. He had no regard for what was true, and he had no regard for who he would hurt. I have called, this September 22nd will be 5 years that John Holland has left wrong suicide information in play. It's been it's been not 3.5 years since I watched him give out, I think it's 3.5, 4 years since I watched him promote her in Arizona. Mr. Tedeschi is fully aware that this happened. And Mr. Tedeschi is more than happy to use the Edgar Cayce name to promote a man who will promote those who clearly commit fraud and will threaten to sue anyone who catches them doing it. And he's using the Cayce name to do it. Mr. Tedeschi is fully aware that John Holland has never called out any of the wrong stuff at Hay House and that there is a plethora of wrong medical information at Hay House. Mr. Tedeschi himself on the phone with me confirmed that medium Sylvia Brown was not what she claimed, and that during her life she caused an incredible amount of harm. I asked Mr. Tedeschi on the phone why he did not call this out if he could see it, and he told me it wasn't his job. And I told him it was the job of anyone who claimed to serve spirit to call out that which risks human life. He told me it wasn't part of his work in the foundation. Well, I told him at the very least, could you not promote fraud? Could you not promote any aspect of John Holland's work while he continues to promote that which is clearly untrue? I was told by the head of the Edgar Cayce Foundation that if I wanted someone to call out fraud in the New Age and to call people to truth, that I should start my own foundation. You can imagine what that did to my belief in the work of Edgar Cayce. Now, I have never read anything in any book that Edgar Cayce's work where he was so indifferent or callous or cold or goddamn fucking greedy. But it's pretty damn bad when the head of the Edgar Cayce Foundation will knowingly promote someone that he knows has risked life. John Holland was an opening act for Sylvia Brown, a woman that Kevin Tedeschi will tell people. If you ask him, he'll tell you Sylvia Brown wasn't what she claimed and she harmed people. And in life, John Holland promoted her as real. And John Holland called out not one wrong thing that she did. John Holland has not called out any of the wrong things that Louise Hay has put out. Even when Louise Hay blamed gay men for their having AIDS for having bad thoughts and unopened hearts to love. John Holland promotes Hay House's brand, their page, and Hay House Radio with no regard to where he leads his fans. There are people on the Hay House Radio who tell people not to vaccinate their children or themselves for anything. Teal Swan has been on Hay House Radio. She is a Hay House author that John Holland has funneled his fans to every time that he has promoted the Hay House Summit or the Hay House brand. Anytime he promoted their page, he's funneled his fans to her. And he doesn't call out when she almost drives people to suicide. He doesn't call out when she tells people crazy crap. John Holland doesn't call out when Hay House's Esther Hicks tells people to mislead their spouses on whether they're taking their prescribed medications while they're following her bullshit that you can cure yourself of any illness with the power of God. That type of conduct, where a psychic is encouraging people not to take their medications and encouraging them to deceive their families about whether or not they're taking their medications, is absolutely abhorrent. And now the Cayce Foundation is funnel feeding to it. Now, I know that for some of you who may be seeing this video, this is going to be really hard. Like, who am I to call out the Cayce Foundation? But it comes down to basic, simple core principles. If you say that human life matters, it matters all the time. If you say that it would be wrong for atheist Richard Dawkins to promote people putting out medical statements that he knew could kill, and he's an atheist, if you would say that would be wrong, there can be not one excuse for the Cayce Foundation to funnel feed to that which they can see is clearly untrue. I have done everything that I could to try to call John Holland to integrity. The last thing that John Holland wants to do is be a man of integrity. He likes to whine and bitch on a stage about his father's deficiencies and how his father wished he was a different type of son. I don't blame John Holland's father for one moment of wishing that he had a son who cared for truth. I don't blame his father for wishing he had a son who would actually protect others instead of predatorize them. I don't blame John Holland's father for realizing that he had a son who was going to harm people and set them up for harm. These tendencies of John Holland to go onto a stage and say, my father didn't see me as his or like him, well, I'm glad he doesn't. Mr. Holland, if you're seeing this, if your father can't see himself in you when you risk human life, that's good. At least maybe it won't be entirely his fault. But it is absolutely abhorrent that you tell people while you promote that which can kill, that your dead mother is leading you to what you do. I can tell you this real clearly. Your dead mother isn't leading you to promote the Hayhor fraud. Your dead mother didn't tell you to promote in April David Wolf's page when David Wolf has had a worldwide skeptic action against him for a couple of years now. You promoted a page of a man who is a flat earther, who tells people the Syria bombings, the gas bombings were a hoax, who tells people that the Space Shuttle Challenger never exploded, never to get vaccines, and not to take prescribed medications. How many times, Mr. Holland and Mr. Tedeschi, did I write Hay House putting John Holland on the CC, where I called out the wrong things I was finding tied to Dorian Virtue and James von Prague? And yet I can show clear proof that this year, John Holland not only promoted the page of David Wolf, but he bragged he was doing it through his friend Colette Baron Reed. They promoted the page on April 28, 2017. Mr. Tedeschi, is it your belief that the earth is flat? Because medium John Holland, who you were set to promote as real on October 20th, this year promoted the page of a man who tells people the earth is flat. Is it your belief that gravity is a toxin unless you're upside down? Is it your belief that telling people not to get vaccines at all is sane, or not to take their psychiatric medications or their chemo medications or any other thing? Is it your belief that if John Holland was walking in truth, in service, that I should be seeing him promote a page of a man that his office had already been informed was promoting stuff in the New Age that could kill? But I'm still not done with the fraud that John Holland has promoted recently. This year, I believe it was somewhere around the 20th to the 24th, medium John Holland decided to plug angel fraud yet again. Not being content to risk the lives of the suicidal and other people in society to the fraud of Doreen Virtue one time, he decided that it would somehow be acceptable to promote another angel fraudster who was selling angelic gift certifications to seeming anyone who had a working credit card who wanted to sign up for her class. A woman who was certified by Doreen Virtue. So that means she paid anywhere from $650 to $1,000, and in less than, I don't know, could be anywhere from a weekend class to a couple week class, she suddenly became certified as an angel communicator. Mr. Tedeschi, is it the belief of you as the director of the Edgar Cayce Foundation that you should be promoting John Holland when he promotes the purchase of the sale or the purchase of angelic gifts? Because John Holland promoted Karen Polimo to the public with his name at an event they did, and he promoted her on his page, and Karen Polimo brags that Doreen Virtue certified her, the very woman who risks human life in fraud. And in order to become certified for her for one of these classes, you've got to go buy a bunch of Doreen Virtue products. Mr. Tedeschi, I called you before to do what was right. I told you that human life mattered. When you told me that you knew that Sylvia Brown was a fraud, when we talked about that, I told you you had the moral obligation to have called it out. And you told me that wasn't your job. And I had told you at the very least, you had the moral obligation not to promote John Holland or anyone like him who promotes that which is untrue and which can harm. You tell me to go start my own foundation. And then you personally decide to keep funneling to fraud. This week, I came across a video that broke my heart. I was literally sobbing. You know, for almost 5 years, I've been trying to do everything that I could to get Hay House to stop promoting fraud that could kill. And I'd already encountered an individual who had to deal with the damage when Louise Hay told people wrong information on AIDS and blamed people who got AIDS for bad thoughts and told them they could magically cure themselves. I'd already dealt with that, but I wasn't prepared for the video I came across this week. Mr. Tedeschi, Hay House Publishing plugs Esther Hicks is real. James Von Prague has personally plugged Esther Hicks as real to his classmates, to his classes that he had where he taught mediumship. Wayne Dwyer plugged Esther Hicks is real. John Holland has funneled his fans to Hay House, where they are going to be told that Esther Hicks has an incredible gift. This week I came across clear evidence that a woman following the teachings of Esther Hicks, taking her false statements on suicide, failed to get help for a desperately suicidal friend in her life. Her friend was talking of suicide, wanted to know if it was wrong, wanted to know, would God judge, would people be upset? And rather than this person reaching out in true compassion, she came with the New Age Kool-Aid that gets taught all the time, that you manifest anything you want, your own God. Oh, only what you think will happen. And this woman didn't help her friend, who was spending the night at her house, and her friend killed herself the next day. This woman was so shut off from what true compassion was because she was walking in the New Age cult thought of Louise Hay and Hay House, that you tell people magical thinking will make everything okay and nothing has a judgment. She didn't hold her friend. She didn't get her friend psychiatric care or call 911 or call her friends. She didn't help her. And she can't undo that her friend's dead. But she didn't leave the New Age after that. Even though some of her friends wanted to know, why didn't you help her? She didn't leave the New Age. And this woman, who was once in Hollywood, she continued to stay in the New Age. And her mother was coming to her and telling her that her brother was really acting out and being abusive, and that he was out of control and needed help. And when her mother was trying to discuss what was really going on, like a normal human being would when they're seeking, what do we do? She did what they teach you at Hay House. At Hay House, they tell you that the problem is the person who brings the problem forward. Love the person who tells you what you want to hear. So this woman, when her mother was coming to her about her brother's highly abusive behavior, ripped into her own mother and told her, you're manifesting this. It's your reactions to this causing my brother to act this way. And her mother seems to have shut down and not talked to her. That woman's brother went on to kill his own child. This woman now speaks about the dangers of the New Age, and I made sure this week that she got to see some of my videos and that she would know that I too watched wrong suicide information go out at Hay House, and that Esther Hicks is part of Hay House. And I let this woman know that the endangerment hasn't stopped. Now, I sobbed that I am finding so much wrong stuff tied to Esther Hicks and Louise Hay and Doreen Virtue and the rest of them. I want you to think long and hard, Mr. Tedeschi. Are you willing to promote John Holland and kill any of the people who come to your foundation? When you promote John Holland, he funnel feeds to anything that lines his pockets. He has no regard if a child dies of tetanus. He doesn't care if a woman dies being encouraged to reject having a doctor present for her birth and to do home birth, as one of the Hay House people is encouraging. There's a woman named Kelly Brogan who's a significant psychiatric quack who tries to treat manic depression with coffee enemas. And this woman is encouraging people to not give birth at a hospital and to give birth at home without a doctor. That can kill women and babies. And John Holland's not calling it out. Mr. Tedeschi, you told me if I wanted someone to do the right thing, I should start my own foundation. And I asked you, could you at least not take part in risking life? And now you are funnel feeding to it all. Where are your ethics? Where is your sense of the sacredness of other human beings? You cannot say that you love other people and have no regard to what and whom you promote to line your pocket or stroke your ego. You have a moral obligation as the head of the Edgar Cayce Foundation not to use your position in any way that would harm the followers of the foundation or the general public. And you are betraying that trust. The fact that I have to make this video all the years after we talked because you have decided that it's acceptable to promote John Holland while he's actively funneling to fraud that can kill is mortifying. As the head of the Edgar Cayce Foundation, you are promoting a man who just in the last 6 months promoted a flat earther on his page. Is the earth flat? Do vaccines matter at all? Do pharmaceuticals matter at all? Is it okay to tell people that 4-year-old girls cause their own rapes, as Esther Hicks has done? If the answer to these questions is no, that's not right, then you cannot promote John Holland or anyone tied to Hay House. I'm not saying this because I don't like you. I'm not saying this to make your life difficult. It really comes down to, do other people matter? You can't say you love people and lead them to folly and harm and to what can kill. And John Holland has consistently shown that he does not care what is true or what can harm, but only what personally profit him. If he had 1 ounce of decency over 5 years ago when he saw what Doreen Virtue had done, he would have stopped that event, he would have left Hay House, and he would have said, I won't do this. But he has consistently done it. I'm asking you not to promote it because it's wrong, because people matter, because you should be better than that. Don't make me have to start a foundation where the first thing I do as a foundation is call yours out. There is nothing that you are doing in promoting the crap that John Holland does or anyone tied to him that is anything in alignment with the work of Edgar Cayce. You violate the core principle of the value of other people by promoting that which can harm and kill and which you don't care is true. Remember what you're supposed to be doing with your foundation.